The day my solar panels caused a blackout at Oak Valley residences forever changed what power means in our community. As I sat in my home office, looking out at the perfectly lined-up mansions, I was still processing the events that turned our high-end condo into an ideological battleground. 15 years ago, when Oak Valley was built, it established itself as the most desirable address in the region, attracting doctors, lawyers, and Silicon Valley executives. Life here always flowed smoothly, with friendly HOA meetings and meticulously organized social events. Everything changed when Chelsea Whitfield arrived. Fresh off a divorce and a former marketing exec, she won the HOA presidency with promises of taking our condo to a whole new level of exclusivity. Little did we know that her vision of modernization would trigger a series of events that exposed the dark side of social status. Subscribe to the channel and hit like for more stories like this. The first meeting under Chelsea's leadership set the tone for what was coming. With her immaculate blazer and corporate posture, she presented an aggressive plan for modernization and exclusivity that made several residents exchange uneasy glances. Her words sounded like a startup pitch, loaded with terms like ultra-premium and redefining luxury. Sitting in the back row of the community hall, I watched as she projected images of condos in Beverly Hills and the Hamptons. Oak Valley needs to reinvent itself, she declared, gesturing towards slides that showed perfectly geometric gardens and uniform facades. The murmurs of approval from some of the more traditional residents contrasted with Professor Thompson's worried expression, my neighbor who had always appreciated the architectural diversity of our homes. Chelsea promised to make our community a national reference for sophistication. Her plan included a total renovation of the common areas, stricter rules on residential modifications, and a new set of regulations to keep what she called superior aesthetic harmony. As I was leaving, I ran into Emily Brooks, a retired lady who's lived here since the opening. "Dear," she whispered, "this reminds me exactly of the beginning of the decline of my old condo in San Francisco." At that moment, I didn't think much of her words. 2 weeks later, I received my first official notice. The document, printed on fancy letterhead, stated that my newly installed solar panels were incompatible with the new visual identity of Oak Valley. It was just the beginning of a battle I never chose but couldn't escape. Armed with all the technical documentation and environmental certifications, I set up a meeting with Chelsea to talk about the notice regarding my solar panels. Her office at the HOA headquarters had been completely remodeled. Gray-toned furniture and minimalist artwork created an atmosphere more corporate than communal. "Your panels are an interesting project," she began, adjusting her posture in the ergonomic chair, "but they don't fit with the direction we're heading." I explained in detail how the system not only significantly reduced my carbon footprint, but also served as an example for our tech-friendly community. Chelsea flipped through my documents with calculated disinterest. "Sustainability is admirable," she replied, "but we need to balance environmental awareness with aesthetic excellence. Our premium standards can't be compromised." Her words sounded like a carefully crafted press release. The discussion escalated when I mentioned that other residents had shown interest in installing similar systems. "Maybe you should consider a more alternative condo," she suggested, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I left the meeting and bumped into Michael Thompson in the parking lot. As an environmental studies professor, he immediately understood the gravity of the situation. "This goes way beyond solar panels," he explained. "It's a battle between different visions of progress." In the following weeks, I organized an online presentation for the residents about renewable energy. The surprisingly high turnout indicated I wasn't alone in this fight. The Richardsons, known for their exotic fish aquarium, offered their garden for a sustainability workshop. The Wilsons, a young family with kids, started an online petition supporting green initiatives in the condo. Chelsea responded with a memo detailing even stricter aesthetic guidelines. The 20-page document specified everything from the exact shade of the curtains visible from the windows to the permitted angle for internet antennas. When I shared the memo in our WhatsApp group for residents, the tension reached its peak. The divide was clear between Chelsea's modernization supporters and those backing a more sustainable approach. Oak Valley, once a symbol of suburban harmony, was about to face its biggest crisis. On an apparently normal Tuesday, I woke up to frantic messages on my phone. Overnight, a technical incident had caused a blackout in 50 Oak Valley homes. I rushed to my window and saw that my solar panels were completely useless. Someone had sabotaged the system in a meticulous and professional way. Officer James Rodriguez, the first cop on the scene, was documenting the damage as distressed residents gathered in front of my house. Emily Brooks, our retired neighbor, approached in tears. Everything in her fridge, including medications that needed refrigeration, was lost. The Richardsons faced an even more dramatic situation. Their exotic fish aquarium, which relied on an electric filtration system, had turned into a desolate scene. In the Wilsons' basement, things were critical. The pumping system failed overnight, leading to significant flooding. Detective Sarah Morgan, who was assigned to the case, examined each affected area with special attention to the damage patterns. "This wasn't just ordinary vandalism," she remarked, analyzing the precise marks on the equipment. "Whoever did this knew exactly where the system's weak points were. The timing couldn't have been more suspicious. The night before, I had posted an online petition against the new HOA regulations. The document questioned the legality of the restrictions imposed by Chelsea and called for a review of the condo's environmental policies." Detective Morgan conducted preliminary interviews in my office. As she collected digital evidence from the security system, Chelsea showed up, impeccably dressed as always. "What a tragedy," she declared in a measured tone of concern. "This only confirms the risks of implementing non-standardized technologies in our community." Security camera footage revealed something intriguing. During the night, the system had been turned off for exactly 47 minutes. Just enough time for a professional sabotage. Only 3 people had access to the shutdown code: the security manager, Chelsea, and me. The impact on the affected families was devastating. The Richardsons, marine tech specialists, estimated a loss of more than $50,000 in equipment and rare species. The Wilsons' basement would need weeks of restoration, forcing them to stay in a hotel. Emily Brooks, besides her material losses, was suffering from the interruption of her medical treatment. News spread quickly throughout the Silicon Valley tech community. Colleagues began sharing similar stories from other condos that had faced resistance to the implementation of sustainable technologies. The incident at Oak Valley was turning into a landmark case of the conflict between innovation and conservatism. That night, Chelsea called for an emergency board meeting. As I braced myself for confrontation, I received an anonymous message. "Look into Greenview Heights, 2019. It was the name of the condo where Chelsea had lived in Silicon Valley, and that specific date would begin to reveal a disturbing pattern in her past. Detective Morgan spent the afternoon collecting camera records from the neighboring houses. "In 15 years of investigating elite crimes," she commented, "I've never seen vandalism so technically sophisticated in a residential area." Oak Valley, our model tech and prosperous community, had turned into a complex crime scene. Detective Morgan's investigation advanced quickly, uncovering layers of complexity no one expected. A series of interviews with residents established a precise timeline of events, but the digital evidence told an even more intriguing story. The security system records showed attempts to access the deactivation codes for the cameras using Chelsea's login at odd hours. Detective Morgan, a specialist in property crimes, noticed a pattern. The attempts coincided with board meetings, times when Chelsea was supposedly busy. The impact on Oak Valley's reputation was immediate. Silicon Valley tech groups started sharing our story, and we quickly became an example of the clash between innovation and traditional condo management. Real estate investors began questioning the future value of the properties, especially after the estimated damage costs were made public. Michael Thompson, using his academic contacts, uncovered some worrisome records. In 3 other condos where Chelsea had lived, similar incidents occurred after attempts to implement sustainable technologies. In each case, the investigations ended inconclusively, and the environmental initiatives were eventually scrapped. Emily Brooks, still reeling from the loss of her medications, recalled one crucial detail. The week before the incident, she saw someone photographing the solar panels in the middle of the night. The footage from her independently operating cameras showed a figure wearing clothes similar to the ones Chelsea normally wore on her morning jogs. The Richardsons, still dealing with their aquarium loss, found records of a suspicious technical consultation. Someone had contacted an electrical systems expert, asking for detailed info on how to modernize residential solar setups. The email used was linked to one of Chelsea's previous addresses. Detective Morgan coordinated with cyber police for a deep analysis of the condo's digital records. They discovered a pattern of suspicious searches on the administration computer, queries about solar system failures, weak points in electrical installations, and methods of sabotage that looked like natural accidents. While cleaning their flooded basement, the Wilsons found a partially damaged USB drive. After recovering the data, the police discovered files detailing the security systems of several condos, including the technical blueprints of Oak Valley that shouldn't have been available to HOA members. Chelsea kept her composure during the investigation. but her influence was starting to crumble. Residents who had once supported her were now questioning her decisions. The community's WhatsApp group buzzed with theories and revelations about her corporate past, including accusations of unethical practices at her former marketing firm. Detective Morgan set up a temporary investigation room in the community center, where maps, photos, and timelines covered the walls. Every new detail pointed to an elaborate scheme of control and manipulation, far beyond simple vandalism. As the investigation deepened, I received another anonymous message. Check the records for the Sustainable Communities Initiative from 2018. This clue would lead to discoveries that would definitively change the course of events at Oak Valley and reveal the true motive behind Chelsea's actions. The tip about the Sustainable Communities Initiative opened a Pandora's box. Through detailed research, I discovered that Chelsea had led an aggressive campaign against this project at her former marketing firm. The program, which encouraged condos to adopt sustainable practices, posed a direct threat to the interests of her traditional real estate clients. I shared this information with Detective Morgan, who had already established connections with investigators in other jurisdictions. In every place where Chelsea had lived, we found a similar pattern. She took on leadership roles in residential communities and systematically sabotaged environmental initiatives, all while maintaining a facade of modernization. The tech media soon started investigating on their own. A journalist from the Tech Valley Chronicle discovered leaked emails from 2019 in which Chelsea discussed strategies to preserve traditional property values through what she called strategic interventions. The article went viral on social media and sparked a wave of outrage in the tech sector. The Richardsons, still reeling from the loss of their aquarium, used their tech industry contacts to track down Chelsea's professional history. They discovered that she had consulted for a company developing security systems, which explained her technical know-how on how to disable our equipment. Emily Brooks remembered a casual conversation where Chelsea had asked detailed questions about her medication schedule and refrigerator operating hours. The Wilsons recalled a suspicious interest she showed in their basement drainage system weeks before the incident. The investigation took a new turn when a former colleague of Chelsea's contacted Detective Morgan. He revealed that, at her previous firm, she had developed a method to destabilize sustainable communities under the guise of modernization. The document detailed specific steps, including how to create divisions among residents and orchestrate controlled accidents. Social media exploded with hashtags like Naraj Oak Valleygate and Green Tech Sabotage. Residents from other condos began sharing similar experiences, creating a digital movement against anti-environmental practices in residential communities. Michael Thompson, reviewing the HOA's documents, found irregularities in the voting process that had elected Chelsea. Some electronic votes were recorded at impossible hours, and suspicious IP addresses appeared in the system logs. When Detective Morgan confronted this evidence, she conducted a thorough search of Chelsea's office. There, she found a hidden laptop containing encrypted files with technical details of every homeowner's sustainable technology installation. The turning point came when a group of cybersecurity experts, led by the Richardsons, managed to recover deleted server records from the HOA. The files revealed a meticulous plan to turn Oak Valley into an anti-sustainable model, using our community as an example to discourage similar initiatives in other condos. The story was no longer just about sophisticated vandalism. It was about a corporate conspiracy to keep residential communities stuck in outdated development models. The evidence pointed to a larger network of real estate interests that viewed sustainability as a threat to the status quo. The emergency online meeting attracted not only residents, but also journalists and environmental activists. The Oak Valley Community Hall, usually the venue for social events, transformed into a makeshift courtroom where the future of our community would be decided. Chelsea arrived on time, maintaining her executive demeanor, but the tremor in her hands as she adjusted the microphone betrayed her nervousness. Detective Morgan sat strategically close to the exit, while I took my seat at the head of the table as the main whistleblower. The testimonies began with Emily Brooks. Her voice choked as she described how she lost essential medications during the blackout. "This isn't just about money," she declared. "It's about dignity and safety." The Richardsons showed a video documenting the destruction of their aquarium, including technical reports confirming the deliberate sabotage of the system. The Wilson family projected photos of the damage in their basement, along with repair estimates exceeding $100,000. Their youngest daughter, 12 years old, had lost her entire collection of books and schoolwork on the environment. Michael Thompson presented a detailed analysis of the administrative irregularities, revealing how Chelsea had systematically manipulated votes and altered HOA records. The data clearly showed decisions that favored interests against sustainability. The most impactful moment came when Detective Morgan shared excerpts from conversations recovered from Chelsea's secret laptop. The messages revealed connections with a network of traditional real estate investors who had been funding actions to destabilize sustainable communities nationwide. Chelsea tried to defend herself, claiming that her actions were meant to preserve the property value of the homes. Her rehearsed speech was cut short when one resident projected emails she had exchanged with her former firm, discussing payments for community intervention services. The legal implications were laid out by an environmental law specialist. In addition to material damage, Chelsea faced charges of conspiracy, fraud, and multiple environmental regulation violations. The estimated fine exceeded $1 million. The HOA's financial department disclosed that Chelsea had diverted funds meant for maintenance to hire specialized consultants. In reality, technicians trained to sabotage sustainable infrastructures. The transactions had been disguised as aesthetic improvements. During the Q&A session, residents expressed their outrage. An elderly lady questioned how Chelsea could sleep at night knowing she had harmed so many families. A young couple explained how their plans to install solar energy had been repeatedly blocked through bureaucratic tactics. The live stream reached over 10,000 viewers, including representatives from other HOAs and environmental activists. The chat exploded with messages of support and similar stories from other communities. When Chelsea finally lost her cool, yelling about progressive invasions in traditional communities, Detective Morgan discreetly signaled 2 officers positioned near the door. Oak Valley was about to witness the most dramatic climax in its history. The digital vote to remove Chelsea took place in real time, with a record turnout from the residents. The result was overwhelming. 97% voted for her immediate removal. As she was escorted out of the hall by Detective Morgan, a collective feeling of relief swept through the assembly. That very night, a temporary board unanimously approved a new set of eco-friendly policies. The Sustainable Modernization Program, ironically using part of Chelsea's original slogan, was named Oak Valley Forward. We set ambitious goals: solar energy in 70% of the homes within 2 years, a water recycling system, and expanded green spaces. The Richardsons took charge of the tech committee, implementing a transparent monitoring system for every community facility. Emily Brooks, recovering from the incident, transformed her garden into a pilot organic community garden. The Wilsons, after renovating their basement, converted the space into an environmental education center for children. Michael Thompson developed a monthly workshop program on sustainable practices, attracting visitors from other condos. Our security system was completely overhauled, with strict access protocols and shared supervision. The most significant transformation, however, was in the mindset of the residents. Those who initially backed Chelsea out of fear of property devaluation eventually discovered that green-certified properties commanded higher prices on the market. Oak Valley became a model of how upscale communities could embrace sustainability without sacrificing exclusivity. Detective Morgan wrapped up the case with a detailed presentation for other communities, using our experience as a case study to prevent similar situations. The legal proceedings against Chelsea moved forward, with settlement agreements being arranged for the affected families. In less than 6 months, our community not only recovered from the trauma, it reinvented itself. Oak Valley emerged as a benchmark for sustainable innovation, proving that social status and environmental awareness can not only coexist, but actually strengthen each other. Subscribe to the channel and hit like for more stories like this. Chelsea eventually moved to a traditional condo in Massachusetts, where I heard she's keeping a low profile. The latest news indicates that she now works as a consultant at a small marketing firm, far from the spotlight and leadership roles she once coveted. As for Oak Valley, our story turned into a national success case. Delegations from other condos regularly visit us to learn about our transformation. The solar panels, once considered an aesthetic threat, are now our most distinctive symbol, gleaming under the California sun as emblems of progress. The deepest impact, however, was the shift in the residents' mentality. HOA meetings, once tense and political, have become productive forums for community innovation. Young and old work together, each contributing their unique perspective to the sustainable development of the condo. Emily Brooks started a mentorship program, connecting retired residents with young families interested in sustainable practices. The Richardsons rebuilt their aquarium, this time as part of an integrated aquaponics system that supplies our community garden. The renovated Wilson's basement turned into an environmental education center that now hosts local school groups. Today, as I look out at our community from my home office window, I see more than just luxurious houses and well-kept gardens. I see a community that has learned that real status doesn't come from strict rules or superficial appearances, but from the ability to evolve and adapt. Oak Valley has become living proof that sustainability and sophistication can go hand in hand. Our story is not just about toppling an authoritarian administration, but about how a community can unite and reinvent itself when challenged. The trees that give our condo its name are still here, now accompanied by green technology and environmental awareness. We've proven that true luxury in the 21st century isn't about rigid rules or cookie-cutter facades. It's about the harmony between innovation and preservation, between comfort and environmental responsibility. Subscribe to the channel and hit like for more stories like this.